So MUBI has a new film out, and it's called Lurker. For those of you who don't know what MUBI is, it is a streaming platform that last year released The Substance. They also released a film that most people have yet to watch, despite my push to watch it, which is The Girl with the Needle. So once again, I will link our MUBI account link below. Gives you a free month of MUBI. I'm not affiliated. I don't care if you do it. I just want you to watch these movies. If you haven't seen The Substance for some reason, if you haven't seen The Girl with the Needle, you need to do so.
Yes.
But Lurker, let's talk about this one. Should you watch this one? Okay, so this is an obsession thriller, but it's more just like an obsession drama. So this is very much an indie film. And one thing that I have definitely noticed, and there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm being a little general here, but for the most part, I have noticed that with Hollywood type films, our characters are very black and white. You have good, the hero, the person to root for, that seems to be very one-dimensionally perfect. Modern cinema has maybe made them a little two-dimensional, where they give them a couple little flaws, so they're somewhat relatable, but at the end of the day, it's very easy to know who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. Now, of course, as I said, there's exceptions to that rule. There's a few films here and there that come out that actually have, like, contrast, and there's a character that you're like, I don't know, they are more like an anti-hero, and the villain is maybe a little more relatable, and you're like, I don't know, man, I'm kind of see his point, whatever. But with indie movies, for the most part, it's kind of, the opposite of, like, you don't really know who you're supposed to be, like, rooting for, right? Like, people exist in this more gray area of, like, both sides. You're like, I don't know. They both kind of suck.
Yeah.
They're both like, and unfortunately, that's more true to life. And I know that a lot of people go to film for escapism.
Yeah.
And they don't want to overthink these types of situations. They don't want to think about the horrors of the real world. They go there to get away from the real world and to be in fantastical situations, and they're fine with opening up their minds to bigger, more ridiculous questions that are more like hypothesis of, like, what would you do if you had to save the galaxy from an invading whatever. But like these types of more intimate films that give a snapshot of more real people, I feel like a lot of people don't like this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not used to it either, right? Because we watch this type of movie and it becomes like, am I supposed to like these people? Like, who the fuck am I supposed to be rooting for?
Yeah.
But I think a movie like this is super important and really is a good dissection of our modern culture. Kind of like this obsession with celebrities, but not even like real celebrities, right? Like, everyone's trying to be a celebrity these days. Everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody's got an Instagram. Everybody's got something, right? The movie's about a recording artist who seems to be popular in like LA, and our main character here meets him. He becomes obsessed with him. He gets pulled into his life and doesn't want to leave. And this makes for some very uncomfortable situations, and it makes for some moments that people are doing some really devious things. But I was fascinated with this one, and I'm so curious on how this will be received. I haven't really looked at ratings on this. I'm sure it's high because it's an indie movie, and they always likes to get heaps of praise on them from critics and whatnot. But what did you think? I know you were like really struggling with this one.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie I get, like,
Secondhand
very.
embarrassment.
It's not. It's embarrassment, but it's also like, I don't know. It just kind of hits me really viscerally, like this specific emotion. I guess it's embarrassment. But there's something else there too, of like I'm like cringing at like the behavior
Yeah.
that people are doing, the behaviors that people do, and yeah, it was really difficult for me to watch. Like I had to keep kind of like standing up and walking away because I just like couldn't sit there and like sit through it. Which I think is probably a testament to the filmmaking itself. I think the performances from everybody are really, really good, especially our two leads. They both do a fantastic job in their roles. And yeah, as you said, like both characters are very unlikable and both different and similar ways. And that's really fascinating and always much more interesting than just a black and white, good versus evil, bad guy, good guy kind of scenario. Um, but I do think that there is a lot to be said about how the film portrays modern parasocial relationships that people have with either celebrities or influencers or musicians or whatever, and how that can kind of quickly turn into something else that's really unhealthy. In fact, I think most people would probably argue that in general, parasocial relationships can be kind of an unhealthy thing because they're not really a true relationship. But yeah, I found the movie very fascinating, and I do really like where things end. And I
Same.
think it makes a lot of sense from a psychological perspective, and a lot to think about. It gives you a lot to think about.
I think when people sit down to watch a movie like this, because, obsession thrillers in the past, as we kind of alluded to earlier, they're very cut and dry, right? Whether it's Pacific Heights or The Hand That Rocks the Cradle or, any of those types of films, like you have the character who is coming into their life, they're acting like they're their best friend, and behind their back they're destroying it from the inside out, and you want that uh, catharsis, and you want that situation to resolve in a satisfying way, right? You're like, I want the bad guy to go down, and I want them to uh, pay for what they did, and I want the world to make sense. And this movie is definitely not that. And I think that this is the type of ending where it will leave more casual audiences very frustrated and very unsatisfied. And I don't even think they'll, I'm not trying to like talk down to them like they're dumb or something. That's not the intention here. I just think that modern cinema has definitely trained an audience to expect a specific result. And when they don't get it, they get confused and frustrated. Like, wait, that's not the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But I think this is a much more interesting conclusion because it is much more true to life. And as I had said, I think that this is such an interesting snapshot of the modern dilemma between like clout chasing and loneliness, right? You have these people who want so desperately to be loved and accepted by everyone that they surround themselves by sycophants that are yes men and give them everything that they think they want, but their life is so hollow. And because of that, and they don't have any real relationships, they start to become very mean spirited towards everyone around them because they're so disposable,
Yeah.
right? And then you have the other side of things where that person just wants to be in their life and wants to be recognized and wants to be seen by someone like that, someone that they either idolize or aspire to be. And the power dynamic is so out of whack and so unbalanced, and it's not a real friendship because one can't blossom when somebody has so much over someone else.
Yeah.
And to see how this dynamic flips in the movie and there's a wonderful scene that takes place in a recording booth towards the end of the movie that kind of really encapsulates everything about this film in one conversation.
Yeah.
And there's something that our main guy, Matthew, says to Oliver, who's the recording artist, about the people around him. And that was very powerful for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he is not, like, as villainous and evil and sinister and whatever as some of it may seem, there's no lies detected.
Right.
And it really shows how superficial everything is in this world. And I think it takes something like this to really shine a light, because you have to have someone walk up and slap you in the face to make you realize what a fake life you are living.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie does that so well. And I thought that, because throughout the movie I kept being like, oh, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then that wouldn't happen, because this movie isn't interested in following kind of like traditional movie beats where it's like, oh, then we're going to elevate and escalate this thing to build the plot. And it's like, it's not interested in any of that kind of stuff. It's much more interested in, like, analyzing these characters and really breaking down like what makes them tick and like what ultimately can be done to, I don't know, like get through. I think that this is a deeply like layered film that has so many thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, I agree.
To really think about and to like to really kind of analyze the world around us as it is right now. Like, we're so obsessed, we're so hyper online, and we think we know people. It's what we were talking about. It's like, you think that you know these people. Like, Kaylee and I were talking about this earlier. Like, we're especially me. I've done this channel for 8 years, and I've shared a lot of personal stories, and I get very real, and I'm one of the more real voices online because I don't filter anything. I'm not putting on a persona. I'm not, like, everything you see on the channel is me, and I act exactly the same way on this channel as I do in real life. I have no image I'm trying to create, right? But in doing so, I definitely have had these conversations with people who hit me up where they feel like they know me, and while they sort of do, they don't. And it's like they're building this one-sided relationship. And Kaylee put all of this very beautifully earlier, so I'm paraphrasing off of her, and I apologize for stealing any of your stuff, but I think that it ironically just so happened to coincide with the watching of this movie very shortly after, and how this kind of matched up with some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. So this is a fascinating film. Not this typical film that we'd be talking about on the channel. Definitely not horror, but a very uncomfortable film. Yeah. About two very, very broken and misguided people who ultimately are looking for love and happiness, but in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, totally.
So, anyway, we could do a long spoiler discussion and break down all the different little beats of this and that happened in the film, but for now, we're just going to keep it at this, and it's on MUBI. If you're interested in checking it out, MUBI also has another movie with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson coming out next month called Die My Love, which looks fantastic, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I hope that comes to a theater here, because this one did not. We looked for this one. This unfortunately did not get the release that The Substance did. Yeah. And The Girl with the Needle, it also did not get much of a release. So MUBI, I think because The Substance gained so much word of mouth. Yeah. That they were kind of like, all right, we can release this wide, and then it got an Academy Awards push, and then of course it got nominated for a bunch of things in the Academy Awards. very unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, hopefully, though. But the fact that this doesn't have any names, right? Like, The Substance has Demi Moore, has big names attached to it, and with Die My Love, because it's Robert Pattinson, because it's Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
It's the Twilight Hunger Games crossover you never thought you needed. I could see that one getting an actual release that's in more theaters, so I hope to see that in theaters and to be able to report on that next month. But otherwise, we're not going to be able to talk about that one till next year, because this was in theaters months ago. It took forever for this to finally get onto MUBI.
Yes. Yeah. It's been a while.
So it came out today, and if it sounds interesting, check it out. And just think about the relationships in your life, and make sure the people around you actually really know you and care about you, and aren't just there because they're clout chasing, or because they think that that's how it should be, or whatever. I don't know. This movie definitely makes you think about things, because I would say 99% of my relationships that I have are people online that I have never met in person.
Yeah.
But I've built a relationship with them over years and years and years. And then I talk to people on the channel, and it's like, I want to know people, but how many people can you possibly know and talk to on a daily basis? Like, not many.
That's true.
So we try. I try to be as conversational and there as I can be with anybody, but when you get like 100 comments a day and you're talking to so many different people, it's like there's only so much of us to go around, and same for you. There's only so much of you that you can possibly put out there. So anyway, check it out if you want. Let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Anything more?
That's it.
Yeah. So once again, description below, our MUBI link. We get a free month. You get a free month. Don't do it if you don't want. I don't care. I don't get anything but that free month. That's that.
That's that.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.